Gadzooks! Don't sneak up on me like that! Hi. Welcome to Calv's Tales of Fictitious Events, Episode 4. Matthew and John go to the zoo. Let's get started, shall we? It was a rather minging day, and Matthew Parsons and John Richardson were bored as shit, so they decided they would go to the zoo, as this might make the agony of life slightly bearable for 40 minutes or so. One adult and one child, Matthew said, as he and John entered the zoo. "Oh, heavens," said John. "If I believe mine eyes, I think I spy a giraffe." A small child who was eating an ice cream suddenly shouted, "That's not a giraffe, you slimy imbecile. It's a bloody pig." "Your mother is the only pig round here," shouted Matthew. "Why don't you mind your own business, you adolescent fuck," added John. And with this, Matthew approached the small child and bitch-slapped the ice cream out of the little turd's hand and straight into the reptile house. The child began to cry. John shouted, "Don't worry, small spawn of Satan. I have a solution." And with this, John tore off a piece of fence panel and struck the child with such force that she was lifted off the ground and flew several feet and landed in a pile of monkey sick. "Respect your elders, you little punk," cried Matthew, as he turned to the child's mother, who was surprisingly laughing her head off at the events that had just occurred. As it turned out, she didn't like the child either. "Yo, bro, let's go feed the goats," said John to Matthew. When all of a sudden, a Blu-ray copy of Teen Wolf starring Michael J. Fox was hurled out of the window and struck John on the ear, severing it from his head. "Jesus fucking Christ," shouted Matthew, as he could not believe what he had just witnessed. "I can't believe what I've just witnessed. It's madness," said Matthew. "Who just throws away a copy of Teen Wolf?" John, meanwhile, was upon the floor, writhing in agony and soaking wet, as the pain was so severe he had pissed and shit himself. "Stuck in the middle with you, innit, John?" said Matthew, and he picked up John's ear and put it in the Blu-ray case for safekeeping. A man named Jason Van Rrrr approached the two troublemakers and said, "I'm terribly sorry, old chaps, but give me back my copy of Teen Wolf before I cause a scene." "Who the fuck are you?" cried Matthew to Mr. Van Rrrr. Mr. Van Rrrr said, "If you don't give it back now, we shall fight to the death, and all shall know the fear that comes with the name Jason Van Rrrr." And as he was about to throw his first blow, Matthew tore the soiled undergarments from John's body and shoved them into Mr. Van Rrr's mouth, did a reverse Jean-Claude Van Damme spin kick and completely missed, accidentally hitting a sweet old lady in the chops, sending her toppling over the railings and into the crocodile pit. John shouted, "Sweep the leg!" and with this, Matthew went full Cobra Kai and took Mr. Van to the ground with a magnificent sweep. John scrambled to his feet and cried out, "Hulkamania, brother!" and performed a standard Hulk Hogan leg drop upon Mr. Van Lul's face with such force that he too pissed and shit himself. He lay there in defeat. The boys had won the battle. Even though John was missing an ear and covered in excrement, the two boys decided to try and enjoy the day anyway. They were just about to head to the aviary for lunch when Matthew let out an incredibly feminine shriek. Really, really feminine. John turned his head to find that a swan with a Burt Reynolds mustache had bitten Matthew upon his testicle sack. Matthew began to sob as the swan laughed, called Matthew a prick, and flew away to comb his tash. John was laughing hysterically, so much so that Matthew couldn't take it anymore, and he ran towards the exit, but then realized that a triceratops, yes, a triceratops, had guarded the exit. They were trapped. "Holy shit," cried John. "We're trapped." Have you ever seen a man make love to an extinct animal? Matthew asked. I'm going to do what I can to get us out of here. Done. Tune in next time for part 2 of Matthew and John Go to the Zoo. I wonder what will await. I'll see you next time.